first things first. Okay, so this subject is one that I want to try and be as gentle as possible, if I can. And that's talking about gun control. A lot of people, especially on the right, will say they're trying to take our guns, when that's not at all true. All that people are asking for at this time is stricter gun laws that require several firewalls in order to get one. Like asking for ID, checking to see if they've done time, or whatever else. And depending on what that crime is. If you think about it, they always say as well that it's better to have more guns so that those who carry can save people with a gun. The odds of that happening, though, are slim because 3 things must happen in order for that to be true. 1, the person must be completely knowledgeable in gun safety. 2, they must be able to discern if they should wield it depending on the situation. And 3, they must be able to have the bravery to do so. Not everybody has all 3, and that's okay. I have one, but I don't like holding it. I realize, though, that sometimes protecting yourself requires using things that you aren't comfortable with. I've realized a long time ago that I have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least when it comes to my mind. I'm still getting used to the physical part. Speaking of the physical part, we've had more guns, and the issue has only gotten worse, with only a handful of exceptions within the past 10 years, give or take a few years. Beyond a certain point, owning more and more guns doesn't make us safer. It just gives us more things to maintain and worry about. It's not a bad thing, but at the same time, why waste so much money on things that you're never going to use? I can see having a handgun as personal protection and as useful, for sure. That's why I have one. But I can't see owning any other type of gun except for maybe a shotgun for home protection. That's about it. But again, we shouldn't feel the need to carry openly in the first place, in my opinion. It just shows that we don't trust the people around us at all. Again, I'm not saying everyone is worthy of trust, but the point I'm trying to make still stands. The fact that we have had so many shootings is astounding. But when we buy into the idea that we need more and more guns to feel safe, we may be unintentionally helping systems that feed off of our fear instead of focusing on solutions. I know that it sounds counterintuitive, but gun control is the answer. We just have to agree on how we get there, and it's a really divisive topic right now, which makes it difficult to do. But in order to cultivate any semblance of understanding, we need to agree that there's a reason to have guns in the first place. We can't be a nation without them, but we also can't be a nation with them at this level. I understand the Second Amendment. It was meant to protect people, the nation. But its original purpose is this, quote, to be a national defense against foreign invasion and federal tyranny, while also safeguarding the individual right to bear arms for self-defense against criminal acts and the abuse of governmental power, unquote. That's what I found online as a simple synopsis. Yet that abuse of power is here, and guns did not solve the problem. If we aren't careful, hundreds of thousands of lives could be lost. Yet if we do nothing, then the system wins. Systems always rely on the people reacting in such a way that it allows them to take full control through fear and division. So what do? We need to come together, stop threatening each other, and realize that we all want the same thing. We all want the best for each other, or at least most of us do. And the fact of the matter being that we just happen to disagree on how to do it. compromising has gotten us to this point. We need to agree on fundamental values of what all of us need at a base level, such as children not going to school and wondering if they'll see their parents again. I'm not going to touch on all of the issues, maybe in another video, but that is one of them. We have to start putting some sort of safeguard on guns other than what we've already tried, because clearly it doesn't work. It reminds me of a comedian that joked about this, and I think he really hit the nail on the head. He said, quote, "The Americans don't realize, they don't understand the link between lots and lots of people having guns and lots of people getting shot," unquote. And then he gives an analogy to think about in a fun but serious way, which is this, quote, "If I was to give you a mobile telephone, do you think that you'd be more or less likely to make a telephone call?" Unquote. Same with guns. If we have more, the odds go up that they'll be used, sometimes in the worst way possible, especially when it comes to mental health and the current culture around it. With those two mixed in together, we've unfortunately been dealing with the repercussions of that. They may have been able to get a gun legally, but with the mental health struggles and anger being very prevalent in our society in the past decade alone, it's a recipe for disaster. When people go unnoticed and feel like they aren't getting the help that they need, they feel like they need to make a point somehow. And sometimes when they've really felt alone or unheard or completely powerless, they do something really drastic, especially if they have a gun. We all know what happens after that. Not always, but when it gets especially painful, some do lash out that way. We treat mental health like it's shameful, something to be ignored, something to be pushed away to the back of our minds. That we always need to be a man and never cry, or that we need to not be so sensitive. A lot of the time, we can barely afford to see someone and help ourselves, or we ignore it until it's too late. If we put as much energy into supporting mental health as we do into buying weapons, we'd have a stronger, safer society. But I want to move on from that. We don't have to agree on every single minute detail. I've gone shooting at a shooting range with my gun, and don't get me wrong, it's fun to go shooting in a safe environment. But at the end of the day, we can agree that fewer children should die and that safety matters. At the end of the day, children should feel safe and come home from school. Families should feel safe, and no one should have to live in constant fear that their neighbor might shoot them if they say the wrong thing or don't look like or think like they do. That's where the conversation should start. We all want safety and peace in our lives. So why not start doing that by tackling one of the biggest issues in our country? It's easier said than done, I will admit. But if we all put our best foot forward every single day and never give up that fight within ourselves, problems like this won't be as big of an issue anymore. It'll take time, but it will be worth the effort. I'm not saying it'll completely disappear overnight, because that wouldn't be realistic. What I am saying is that when we all realize how this affects other people instead of only ourselves, it opens the conversation up to a wider range of options, because both sides are able to agree on base principles. It opens the door to real solutions. It allows us to build a stronger and sturdier foundation together, rather than letting people get caught in the literal crosshairs of the consequences. To round this all out, guns are necessary, in my opinion, but no one is trying to take away your guns. And we aren't saying that we don't care either way. But we all need to come together and realize the truth about these issues in some form or another before it escalates too much on either side. It might feel like we are already escalated right now, but only if you have lost hope within yourself or have given up. There's always time to fix it, unless hope has been squashed. So long as there is one person alive that uses their voice, there's always going to be hope for a better world where things like this don't happen nearly as much as it does right now. My heart goes out to those who have been killed on either side of the aisle right now. I don't care what side of the debate you're on, because your humanity matters more to me than your stance. At the end of the day, we are all still human. Despite what some of those who got shot said, we all have flaws. We all have problems. I'm not defending the words or actions of any of them. I'm simply saying that we are better than this. And it's time we start acting like it. But it does come down to your choices. Change begins with choice. Your choice of words, your choice of actions, and your choice of how you think about yourself and others. So with that being said, as always, keep your mind and your heart open. Peace.